So what do you think about the route between Sydney and Santiago?
It's a long route. Technically, it's supposed to be a great circle route where you like to go over the poles, but it technically would be a straight line.
And how does a plane get the GPS signal?
Well, it's, via satellites is what we're told.
What you're told, okay. And can you get GPS signal in the middle of the ocean?
They again profess to have coverage with the GPS. There might be some areas that don't because of satellite coverage, and
Thank you.
that certain airports that we have here that we would have next generation approaches that give us the ability to use the GPS. There has to be certain criteria for them to be used for the accuracy of the navigation.
Where does a plane keep fuel?
They keep them. There's fuel tanks in the wings and underneath the bottom of the base of the fuselage.
And how long is the usual route you fly, and how much fuel is used?
Well, I mean, I've flown routes up to 9 to 10 hours. Historically, that's about older airplanes were almost 10,000 pounds an hour, and newer planes now are more efficient and they burn more towards 5,000, 6,000 pounds an hour.
So yes, there is fuel that goes into the plane, right?
Yes, there's fuel that goes in. I've had fuel spills. I've had a scenario where fellow pilots impacted another airline sitting on the ground, and the cockpit was filled with the kerosene jet fuel from the pilot that was in the seat, never recovered, and had to medical out from flying.
What do you think of the aluminum plane or the plane destroying the Twin Towers that's made of steel beams?
Well, there's a lot of questions regarding that. It goes aerodynamic questions that an airplane, as it gets close to the ground, the wingspan with what's called ground effect, would float or balloon, especially with excessive speed. That would create. That's one of the questions that I have always looked at. It's like, well, this doesn't make sense that a 757 or 767 can come in and impact a cement building and leave no trace, and it can penetrate like a pop can going through cement buildings. It leaves a lot of doubt as to really what happened. There was no bag. There's no baggage. There's no suitcases. There's nothing. And the wingspan. When you look at the wingspan and how it hit, the wingspan's wider than the hole. What happened to the rest of the airplane?
That's a good point. Have you ever seen the moon and the sun at the same time while flying?
You know, I've never looked. If I see if the sun in front of me, I don't have rear view mirrors, so I can't look behind me.
Okay.
But I can't recall.
Have you ever seen the eclipse and morning sun at the same time? Or have you seen the eclipse while you're flying?
No, I've never flown under an eclipse.
What is the worst turbulence you've experienced, and how much did it drop?
Well, there's different classifications of turbulence. Severe turbulence and extreme are the worst. Where the extreme is where the airplane's not flying. Severe is it's significant. But I've been in extreme in a cargo airplane that the airplane wasn't flying, and it was 7,000 feet updrafts, downdrafts, broken seats, dislocated thumbs, black and blue burns on the neck, all through the body because of the straps or shoulder or the seat belts that are holding you in the seat, or the G's that you're being pulled on. And the airplanes aren't designed, they're not aerobatic, they're not fighters, they don't have all that G suits and all the seat belts that are designed to keep you in the seat.
Well, that sounds pretty intense. And what causes sudden drop or turbulence?
Basically, air is water, just less dense. It has the same thing. It's affected by temperature, is updrafts, change of temperature, wind, all that affects it. And it can happen pretty quickly.
Okay. Have you ever seen a UFO?
I've seen things that one might think that I didn't identify it, couldn't figure it out what it was. Was it something that was going really fast across the sky? No, I didn't see that. I've seen falling stars and stuff like that, but nothing that's ever came up alongside me and honked its horn at me.
Anything strange or interesting you've seen or experienced during flying?
One of the things about flying is you get a different perception, perspective of when you're on the earth, looking up. You're looking at clouds, you're looking at thunderstorms, and that. There's a lot of things that you see out the window that a normal person on Earth doesn't get to see just because of where you're at. Right. But a lot of weird cloud formations, things like that, because of the where you're at, and then the atmospheric conditions of what's making it happen.
Okay.
Example with 150 mile an hour winds over the mountains. creates long lenticular clouds. They stretch them out, and when you're looking on the ground, it's like you can't see it, but when you're in the air, you can really see it. And so it's weird when you look at it in the air because you don't normally see it on the ground. So we see it as pilots see a lot of stuff.
What do you think about chemtrails?
I know the chemtrails. There are airplanes, weather modification programs that are out there. People that do this for cloud suppression, and that technology to be able to suppress the clouds is there. Now there are airplanes that all airplanes are technically leave a contrail. Water is a byproduct of combustion, and you're in the upper atmosphere. It's cold, and as it leaves the exhaust leaves the tailpipe of the engine, it cools rapidly, and then it condenses, and so it leaves the contrail. The longer the contrail, usually the more moisture in the atmosphere. But it's unusual to see where there's patterns. There's airways that we are on, that we fly, like highways. There you'll see airplanes, if you ever notice, there might be one or two or three of them that are following each other, and then they are going to a similar destination. But to see crisscrossing patterns that make squares or similar rectangular lines, that's in what can be determined to be a pattern, that would lend to say, okay, that's unusual.
That's unusual. Okay. So anything you'd like to say to the viewers of the Oddman channel, the Bible-believing Christians that believe in the flat Earth?
Well, there's a lot that is being revealed. A lot of things, questions are being answered, or even probably creating more questions. The truth will come. We will have it. All these things will be revealed. It is an interesting question. That the deception that we face in a world of darkness is it's here. We see it. We see it a lot. And if, as a believer, we are in the light, so we see the light. If you're outside it, the deception, the questions, it makes one really question what's going on. But if you're in the light, you see it, you know it. There's nothing to worry about.
All right. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Doesn't it look pretty flat?
It's hard to see with the haze right now. Yeah, I mean, that's a straight line.
Yeah, it's a straight line.